Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Andrew Warren, and in today's video, we have discussion of a new pretty big price target change for Tesla stock. And although this isn't the biggest, most bullish case ever for Tesla, this still represents a pretty significant change in the sense that we're starting to see a lot of these firms change their price targets drastically. And so with this one, I kind of want to use it as an example where although it may not be the biggest number in terms of the price target, it's still a pretty notable change from what it was previously at. And it kind of emphasizes how, especially with S&P 500 inclusion being announced, we're starting to see a lot of these firms and major analysts begin to increase their price targets. And this is something that we commonly see with Tesla stock. We've seen it over this past year, especially as the general outlook on Tesla becomes more positive and as this company continues to exceed expectations every quarter. So I just want to take note of that as well before we even get into this one. This price target upgrade may be a disappointment to some of those out there that are like really bullish on Tesla. Let's say you're in that group with ARK Invest and you're expecting a much higher price target, which is understandable because I'm kind of in that group as well. I think there's so much potential coming out of autonomy and just the energy side of Tesla's business alone, even aside from just their vehicle business in general. So I'm in that group as well with ARK Invest, but this is still important because we are seeing this transition from the general stock market sentiment being a little bit negative or maybe a little bit neutral to a lot more positive. So with this video, we have a price target raised by Morgan Stanley, and then we also have a really interesting interview with Pierre Ferragu, who recently went on for an interview on Fox Business, and he actually had a lot of really interesting things to say. And in that interview, we also see him addressing some of those typical cherry-picking questions, such as that common point being brought up about the credit revenue. So this is some insight that I really feel like is valuable to share with you all, which is why I'm adding it onto this video in addition to just the most recent price target change with Morgan Stanley. And keep in mind, Pierre Ferragu is somebody that has really just hit the nail on the head for Tesla in terms of having a lot of good insight and spreading some pretty good knowledge about the company for those that are maybe considering the company. And especially with these interviews on like Fox Business and all of these other networks, CNBC, it's really refreshing to see someone finally get on those networks that actually understands Tesla as a company and can kind of debunk a lot of these typical cherry-pick statements that aren't really going to be relevant to Tesla's future. And he really goes further in depth on that and kind of discusses how credit revenue isn't even factored into their model in the future with their projections of sales and revenue and things like that. So we'll get into that as well, but I just want to start off with this price target change by Morgan Stanley. And also, of course, please make sure to smash that like button if you enjoy the Tesla videos. And of course, before we get into this, let's just check out the movement for Tesla stock today. We are currently at a share price value of $486.83 per share. And in the normal market hours today, we had an absolutely huge surge at plus 10.20%, which is plus $45.03. And then in the after hours currently, we are at plus 0.04%, which is plus 19 cents. So I'm really excited to see what happens over this next month, especially with the S&P 500 inclusion event happening on December 21st, and then also just with a lot of us retail investors and other major fund managers that are replicating the S&P 500 with them making big purchases as well. I'm really interested to see how this plays out over this next month. And as I mentioned in my portfolio update for today, I think that this could be one of the most exciting months in Tesla's history just because of the perfect storm that is happening right now and the general sentiment on Tesla being better than ever. So anyways, let's just check out this article by The Street on this most recent price target upgrade by Morgan Stanley, and then we'll expand on that a little bit more. So as I stated, this is an article by The Street and author M. Corey Goldman. So of course, as always, we greatly appreciate this information. And the article is titled Tesla Price Target Raised by Morgan Stanley After S&P 500 Inclusion. And it states Morgan Stanley analyst Adam Jones lifts Tesla to overweight for the first time in more than 3 years and notches up his one-year price target to $540 a share. And just addressing some of the key points of this article, it says Morgan Stanley analyst Adam Jones on Wednesday raised Tesla to overweight for the first time in more than 3 years, predicting that the electric car maker is on the verge of a profound model shift from selling cars to generating high-margin software and services revenue. And it includes the quote, "To only value Tesla on car sales alone ignores the multiple businesses embedded within the company," Jonas said in a research note to clients as he upgraded the shares from equal weight and raised his price target by 50% to $540 from $360. suggesting 22% additional upside for the stock. So this is really important to take note of, and this is why I'm making a video out of this alone, because if you really take a look at what their previous price target was, $360, this is a pretty notable upgrade for them, and considering that they've already kind of been underestimating Tesla, this is a significant movement when you kind of even see the people that are normally, let's say, bearish on Tesla, and even they are starting to be convinced on this. So we're starting to see this transition happening where the general market sentiment towards Tesla is becoming much better and people are starting to take them serious. Now keep in mind, this price target upgrade is conveniently timed near the S&P 500 inclusion announcement, so you can interpret that how you'd like, but in general, like I said, although $540 isn't the most bullish price target out there ever, it's still pretty notable in the sense that we're seeing a 50% increase from the previous price target. And including a little bit more context here, it says in his note, Jonas wrote that Tesla is, quote, on the verge of a profound model shift from selling cars to generating high margin recurring software and services revenue, and that its electric vehicle business is Tesla's and CEO Elon Musk's entry ticket for unlocking much larger potential markets. And it states to better gauge Tesla's future earnings potential, Jonas says his team was now including software/connected vehicle services revenue in their earnings and valuation forecast, with the total number of Teslas out in the world expected to reach 2.1 million next year. Quote, a more in-depth understanding of the revenue streams derived from each car is warranted right now, according to him. And so I kind of want to emphasize the fact that what they're mentioning in that price target upgrade, their reasoning is something that I've been emphasizing on this channel over this past year for many, many months now, and it's something that many of you all out there have been saying as well. Many large content creators and Tesla bulls on YouTube have been stating the same thing as well. So even judging from this alone, once again, retail investors have hit the nail on its head, and this has really been a success story for retail investors in which they've been able to have more insight on Tesla than a lot of these major analysts and big Wall Street investors. So I just want to take note of that what they mentioned in that price target upgrade is really nothing new. We know that Tesla is likely going to be making a tremendous amount of revenue from full self-driving, and then also especially with the infotainment and different applications that can be used once autonomy is fully developed, in which people then won't have to manually drive their vehicles and they'll have more time for productivity and using different entertainment applications within their Tesla, which presents itself more opportunity and more revenue from subscription services. And then for the last piece that I wanted to mention today, like I said, we have an interview from Pierre Ferragu, and here's a recent tweet by him on Twitter. I definitely recommend following him, and it states, good fun on Fox Business today, advanced warning, I don't care about Tesla's inclusion in the S&P, and I don't care about regulatory credit revenues. None of these weigh in my 2025 outlook. And I love this tweet because this is exactly how I feel about this as well. Regulatory credits at this point in time is just a nice bonus, but it's not something that Tesla or retail investors, many of us, are relying on. This is something that we know could go away sometime in the future, which is why in this interview, Pierre mentions that he's not even including this in his future models or projections for Tesla. And I've even made videos on my channel as well where I've stated Tesla doesn't need the S&P 500 and that it really doesn't matter as much as people think it is. And Pierre kind of nails this right on the head as well here. And yes, I understand that with the S&P 500, it is good for Tesla in the sense that we see some mandatory buying. And of course, that leads a lot of retail investors to start buying as well because they're expecting the stock price to maybe grow based on this mandatory purchase. And yes, that is good for Tesla. But in terms of just what the company's accomplishing and their future revenues, it's really not as relevant as people may think it is. And so here's the page on Fox Business where we have this interview. I would definitely recommend checking this out. It's actually pretty funny. There's some nice banter between Pierre and the interviewer, but he really does a great job of addressing a lot of these typical cherry-picked statements by many individuals on these finance news networks. So he does a great job of addressing that and addressing the credit revenues, and I would definitely recommend checking that out. So basically, like I said with the tweet there, he kind of addresses those credit revenues and how it's not really relevant towards Tesla's future. But of course, why not enjoy the extra cash when they can right now? You really can't blame Tesla for the credit revenue. They're the ones that were smart enough to set up their business in an advantageous position in which basically legacy automakers are paying for them to create more Gigafactories and therefore crush their competition even more, which honestly, as an investor, I love to see it. But anyways, like I said, I definitely recommend checking this out. And this states, Analyst sets Tesla price target at $578. And so this is something that Pierre has already mentioned before this interview. So just keep in mind, like I said, Pierre has a lot of really nice insight and he's been pretty bullish on this stock even before all of this S&P 500 inclusion hype. So I definitely recommend checking this out. I'll leave all of this information linked down in the description below, including the Morgan Stanley Stanley link as well. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please make sure to smash that like button if you did, and feel free to check out Robinhood and Webull in the description below. If you sign up with my referral links, you'll get some free stocks, and especially with Webull right now, you can get 1 free stock if you just use my referral link, and then you can get another 2 free stocks on top of that, valued up to $1,600 if you deposit $100 into your account. Keep in mind, you can take that $100 right back out, so it's basically just nice passive income with minimal effort, and it also greatly helps support the channel as well, in which I'll get some free stocks, so I really do appreciate the support. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.